This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
Y'all, this
just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll. Oh, welcome to DBL. I'm Sam in for Jeff. What?
Yeah.
You're in the house? Jeff would be like, Tori's in the house? In the house. Yeah. All right. Well, welcome.
Thanks.
You guys look good today.
Thank you.
I
You
know.
too.
We had some
All right.
fun.
Thank you. It's Friday. Okay, so Dancing with the Stars, you guys, is considering postponing its premiere next week over the writer's strike. So Matt Walsh from the show Veep walked out of rehearsals yesterday. Although the SAG union, which is also on strike, allowed actors to be on the show, Matt said he wasn't aware that Dancing with the Stars employs one WGA writer. So technically it is a struck show. It's unclear if the show's other high-profile actors like Mira Sorvino and Allison Hannigan will continue with the show. Meantime, the writers' strike and Hollywood studios are meeting today. So the writers and the studio heads, hopefully for a third consecutive day, will come up with a solution. Our fingers are crossed. So if you look at some of the signs outside of the Dancing with the Stars studio, we know where it is, right off of Beverly, right?
Absolutely.
There were people holding up picket signs specifically aimed at Matt Walsh, an actor, Allison Hannigan, and then I'm sure Mira Sorvino must have been in that mix as well. The other ones are more athletes and things. They're not
Actor-y.
Right. So what do you think's going to happen? And why do you think they even decided to do it?
I'm very confused unless it wasn't transparent that there was one WGA writer. If you don't know Matt Walsh, he's the guy in Veep with the red beard.
I watch him every night. That's our like Jeff has Curb to
Is
go to
Veep
sleep
yours?
to. Veep is ours.
It's so good. He also started Upright Citizens Brigade, which is the most famous improv that I took. I was on the
in
team
it too.
There you go. And so Matt Walsh
Someone said the Groundlings, but go ahead.
Yeah, the Groundlings are, but I compete. You're right.
They're only SNL.
Yeah, they're, and so is UCB. But I will say,
Thank you.
I will say that he was someone with improv, just really, and someone who works like that understands writers. So I find it very weird that he didn't know unless they were trying to keep it under wraps. Am I wrong?
But how can you be under wraps on Dancing with the Stars? It's not some weird web show, you know? And I agree with you. So I'm like,
did they purposely keep it from them?
But why would you? If you're his agent, you want Matt Walsh to work after this. You're assuming that this will not last until the end of time.
Right.
So you have to, as their agent, as their manager, see 2, 3, 10 years in the future.
Right.
So you would think that them crossing the picket line and literally tangoing across the picket line might not be a great look. And
we're going to have a domino effect. I predict that
course.
next we're going to see Allison decide she can't do the show. Same with Mira Sorvino. I think there's going to be solidarity. And I think if they don't come up with an agreement today, I do think that Dancing with the Stars are going to have to postpone their show if 3 of their competitors can't do it.
No, I was going to say they're going to this one will get canceled, unfortunately. Not canceled in that way, but it will be postponed. I think Sam's 100% right.
We'll have to wait and see. Okay, so Tori, you had a very staunch opinion on this the other day.
Man.
So we're going to revisit it because there are some additional details. We have more details on the divorce between Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas. First, for the second time this week, Sophie has been seen out to dinner with Taylor Swift in New York. Meantime, in court documents Sophie filed yesterday, Sophie claimed she and Joe had an argument last month. Then Joe filed for divorce just a few weeks later, and as we mentioned, Sophie says she only found out about the divorce through social media, but Joe's camp is now denying that. The two are also involved in a very messy battle over the kids, as Sophie wants them to move to England with her. This is a mess. And again, I think of those children, Al. You have the example of a divorce.
Yeah,
right.
You do.
I mean, but
Talk to
it
us.
takes 2 reasonable adults in a situation where you're incentivized not to be reasonable. Usually, both parties' support systems are like, don't be reasonable, don't take that.
The lawyers.
No, I'm talking about just your friends. If you separated from your partners, for as much as we love them, the people that you knew before them are going to be like, you're right, Sam.
Get the house.
I told you.
Yeah, right.
It's just how people support you.
Right.
And your legal support, your lawyer, is going to be like, you know what, Tori? Listen, he's going to be with a 22-year-old tomorrow, and he's going to leave you out to dry. So you need to get all your money. So you have all these people galvanizing you to fight. There's no money in acquiescence. So you have to understand that you're up against, weirdly, your entire world, and you have to be able to navigate and see through that. The only thing I do push back on, and Tori, I want to get your opinion on this. I don't buy that. We had one argument, now we're divorced.
I agree with that.
That dog
I
don't
agree.
hunt.
I agree with that.
That dog don't hunt.
love it when he
That
says
doesn't
that.
make any. That doesn't.
Helen, no hunting.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh yeah, Brooks and I, we argued about dinner, and then he sent me divorce papers. There's
No way
Nothing in life is that simplistic. So
No.
what do you think has been going on? Has it been bubbling?
Oh, yeah, I think it's been bubbling, and there's been rumors on like Deux Mois, Faux Mois, all these like little rumor sites. The one thing that really concerns me here is her use of the word abduction, which his lawyers took.
She never used that word.
She did.
No, it wasn't the exact terminology.
No, she was illegally retaining was
That's
one.
different.
And then she also then used the words they're being abducted. And he came out and said the word abduction should not be used in legal terms. So
I
that's
agree
a
with you
strong
there.
thing.
I agree.
Yeah. And two, the passports. Where are the passports? Now, she's claiming he's withholding the passports from her. That's the only way to get those kids to England. Now it's become kind of now we're talking criminal stuff. When you use words like abduction and passport withholding, things are getting a little.
You know what this is? And you know, if you study history and you see like how wars start, this is how it starts. When right before things get ugly,
That's right.
you start moving your troops to the front lines.
Totally.
There's just weird things that
It's like
start
Game of
happening.
Thrones.
Before there's never just an all-out attack. It's just like passports go missing. People stop responding to email. It's just, this is going to get ugly and it's going to be sad because the public is hoping it does.
I know, and I also think there's a lot of resentment on her part because we all learned that she was very stay-at-home when she had her 2 kids. She had 2 kids under 2. She suffered from postpartum depression.
Isolated, yeah.
She sacrificed a lot of probably work opportunities. Joe never had to. He continued to tour, continued to release hits. And I think now that she's finally at a stage where she can go back to work, there's a little bit of resentment, not only on her side, but I also think that Joe Jonas is like, who is this woman? This is somebody that's finally being able to balance career and kids. I'm on team
Sophie.
All right, speaking of Taylor Swift, football player Travis Kelce is spilling some tea on his rumored relationship with the star. So rumors that the two have been dating have been gaining a lot of traction ever since Travis tried to meet Taylor at one of her shows. Well, he told Pat McAfee.
That's the homie.
Okay, that's the homie. We'll have to see what happens between them, but watch what he told him.
I threw it out there. I threw the ball in her court. And, I told her, maybe I've seen you rock the stage in Arrowhead. You might have to come see me rock the stage in Arrowhead and see which one's a little more lit. So we'll see what happens in the near future.
Dog. Travis! Hey!
All right, man.
I am so turned on by this. I'm sorry.
Tell us everything.
I am so turned on by
Tell
this
us.
because everyone with Taylor has been like, oh, John Mayer, come sing me a song. I'm gonna go into the woods and we'll be fairies. And you know what I mean? And then she dated a bad boy. She dated the Brit that's like, let's have tea and tell no one.
Right.
That was Joe Alwyn, right? This guy's like, you come to me.
Well, then why isn't
come
he?
to me.
No, he keeps tossing it to the media.
Right.
And he keeps saying the ball's in your court.
Right.
He needs to figure out a different way. Believe me, he has connections.
Oh, I know.
The entertainment industry is very small. He needs to pick up that darn phone, stop using the media.
No.
He's using it to elevate his brand.
She uses the media just like he does.
Okay, and I want
like that.
And I want them to become a couple.
Right.
But if you're turned on by him being very chivalrous and bold and taking the reins, he really ain't, Tori. He's doing it through the media. He needs to figure out a better way to go through her agent and get on the phone.
Apparently they're texting, Sam, behind the BTS.
Okay.
Apparently they're texting. I mean, it's true romance.
You're right.
I'll just say this. I do, Taylor is so famous that I wonder if any person on the planet, when you go to make the attempt to date her, assuming it'll be successful, you have to understand about the fallout. Most relationships, unless the final one, your marriage, do not work out.
Right.
Unlike any other those other relationships, if it doesn't work out with Taylor, for the rest of your life, you will get hate mail every second of every day.
No, not if it's amicable.
Anymore.
That's
Taylor Lautner was just at her show, and they were exes, and they're
because you have to continue to smooth that over.
He better be amicable.
You're telling me Taylor doesn't have 100,000 fans that aren't lifetime dedicated to her?
Millions.
Okay.
But I think if it's a very nice breakup and they say we decided to go our separate ways and she doesn't write a song about it.
She had to tell her audience at a concert, please stop going after people because I re-released this music.
Right.
They ain't playing.
Yeah. Okay.
And he just needs to know that. They're not playing.
That's right.
All right. Okay, so speaking of music, it's the song that launched 1,000 memes. You may recognize this meme that appears all over social media at the end of April of Justin Timberlake saying it's gonna be May in an appearance.
I was hoping
That was good.
In an appearance on the Hot One. So JT revealed why he says the word May in the song instead of me. Watch.
Fast.
I sang, "It's gonna be May," and he was like, no. And he was like, "It's May.
Yeah.
May."
You also remember their Swedish accents.
Yeah,
And they had done a demo of it, and they were like, "It's like this."
Right. And yes, it was a specific note that I got, and I was just like, this guy's crazy. And
This is gonna be so meme-worthy.
yeah, I knew one day they're gonna invent this thing called memes.
And they're speaking about the Swedish producers.
Yeah. It's going to be me. You know what I mean?
Right.
It could come out that
Right.
way, like an
Yeah.
ABBA, you know, Swedish.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a song. What song is that?
What?
You don't know that song?
What song is it?
You don't know that song?
It's
I
gonna
was-
be May.
Now, having it yelled at me in a terrible ASMR doesn't help me know
what's
the song.
more of it?
Yeah, someone sing it.
Who said?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know that.
I don't know what
no
that is.
lie. It's gonna
be May. That's all we know.
Oh, bye.
It's by. Do you know that?
Oh, that's a different. Good job, Jody.
It's a different song.
All right. Coming up on DBL,
Gonna
our
bang May.
interview with Food Network star Artie Sequera, how she's blending food and faith in her new cookbook, and did J-Lo steal another diva song? Stop it. Erica's breaking it all down in her segment, What's Erica Watching?
I do a correction. Apparently
Thank
she
you.
never did say abduction.
Thank you.
Wait, but she.
I'm telling you
that. She
that
never
what-
said abduction.
However,
No,
she
didn't.
filed it under the Child Abduction Act.
Yes, but she never used the words.
That's according to Emma.
I looked it up after our meeting last week.
She used the word wrongful retention.
Thank you.
I said that on the air, but I was told that she also said the word abduction.
No, it was part. They filed it under a child abduction
Word
clause.
But hold on. His lawyers came out and said he should. I know should not use the word abduction. So I'm not.
She
never did.
She never did. Abduction clause.
Yeah, I looked it up too.
No,
it isn't.
No,
No,
it's
it
not
isn't.
using a word abduction.
Wrongfully
It's filed
raised.
under a clause that says abduction.
But she never used the word
retained.
abduction in the thing. Okay, that is wrong then. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They're trying to make. There's like it's a smear campaign.
He's trying to make her look bad.
Yeah.
I just.
Yes, she
No,
is.
she
'Cause
was wrong because
you can't.
she never said abduction.
But it was under the. But she. It's
But do you
claiming
guys-
abduction.
I think her lawyers did that.
I think that's under her
Retained
filing.
Is the legal.
But did she file abduction claims?
No.
You
said
just
they
said
were
it's under the
wrongly
child
retained.
abduction law.
The claim was filed under an abduction clause.
So yes, she did.
She didn't say that though. She didn't say my children were.
I know that, but did she file under an abduction clause?
under the abduction clause.
She's claiming they were abducted.
abduction.
Stop.
That's not true.
I think because there's wrongful retention, they had to file it under abduction.
Yes,
but she never said abduction.
When
She
two
never
people
said
are in
that
different.
word.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. When two people get divorced, I have a girlfriend right now who her and her husband live in different state lines. They're having a problem with their attorney where they are trying to come up with a reasonable way to make sure that they both have visitation, but technically, if
Welcome back. Grab a bucket and a mop. It's going to be raining queens. Did J-Lo steal another diva song? And crowns are coming to Broadway in this week's What Erica's Watching. Now, back in June, Megan Thee Stallion shocked fans when she said she was taking a break from music. But now that the criminal who assaulted her is behind bars, there's more good news. She wowed us by teaming back up with Cardi B. They performed their new song Bongos at the VMAs. And now, Meg's teasing her hotties and the Barty gang with news of a possible joint EP, along with a joint tour. See, queens don't have to battle each other when they can kill the game together. Okay. Next, haters always want to pit powerful women against each other. But here's another example of queen power. Singer Christina Milian was asked about her rumored beef with Jennifer Lopez. Well, J-Lo's song Play was supposed to be for Christina. Get this, it was even written by Christina herself. However, the song ended up being produced for J-Lo. But Christina's vocals can still be heard on J-Lo's version. Well, Christina was asked about the beef, and well, turns out there is none. Christina actually loves J-Lo and J-Lo's version of the song. See, real queens recognize other queens. Haters seem to have a hard time with that. Bloop. And finally, because of legislation like the Crown Act and documentaries like Good Hair, we're starting to have some new conversations about the beauty of black hair. And now the art of braiding is making its way to Broadway in a new play co-produced by Taraji P. Henson called Jaja's African Hair Braiding. It's a comedy that celebrates black women and the art of braiding. Now, this sounds like a cute reason to get your hair did and your nails done. Share with me anything that catches your eye by using the hashtag DBLEricaWatch. We'll be back.
It's the only cut of meat in the pork family.
Wow, not real hot.
That's called a steak. And in St. Louis, the pork steak is a barbecue favorite. And one of our 5 on Your Side employees asked the Verify team about its origins.
Summertime in St. Louis means pork steaks. But what I want to know is, were pork steaks invented in St. Louis?
Clark, let's verify. Our sources, food historian Robert Moss, Schnucks, Google Books Archives, and newspapers.com archives. The Schnucks website claims members of the Schnuck family in the 1950s wanted to offer a cheaper cut of meat for grilling, and the pork steak was born. But Moss was able to find newspaper clippings mentioning pork steaks in the early 1800s. There's also books mentioning how to cut and cook pork steaks that were printed in 1916 and 1933. The first mention of pork steaks in St. Louis supermarkets dates back to 1913, when local supermarket Remley first advertised the products at 12 cents per pound. When the Verify team asked Schnucks about claiming the invention of the pork steak, the company spokesperson said, "As you can probably figure, there is no one who is working at the company now that would have been around back then. So I can only provide the information that has been given to me, which is the same that is on our website."
It's possible that Schnucks had never heard of a pork steak, and a butcher there came up with the idea, and sort of independently, and they figured they invented it.
We can verify, no, the pork steak was not invented in St. Louis.
Welcome back to DBL. Artie Sequera's meals aren't only delicious, they're used as glue to connect faith, family, and culture. Earlier, she told us how to find enjoyment when cooking for the family. Check it out.
Please welcome Artie Sequera.
CEO of Hungry.
I love that.
Artie, let's get to it. Your new cookbook, Unwind, by the way, it's quite heavy.
Isn't it a beautiful book?
It's great. It incorporates your passion for food as well as faith. So how has your faith given you a new special view on mealtime?
Well, I think that I realized that, I was walking in after a really full day of everything that I do, and I'm sure it's the same for all of you, and you get to that moment where you have to make dinner, and it feels like salt in the wound. It feels like an insult. And even as someone who does it for a living, I was like, how in the world am I now going to make dinner when all I want to do is have a cocktail and go to bed? And so for me, I realized that meal prepping was helpful, meal planning is helpful, but what really needed to change was my heart. And so for me, walking into this space, into this kitchen and going, hey, this can be holy ground when I invite God into it, changed everything, because now I realize that I can bring all my fatigue, my anxiety, my fear, everything into the kitchen with me. And that's when God can meet me and kind of walk with me through that process. And so this time, which feels like it's all about everybody else, actually became a time between me and God. And once I figured out that my like heavenward connection was solid, then I could pour out into my family.
I think when God's, I know, isn't that beautiful? When God's watching me cook.
Erica just had a moment.
I know. I think when God's watching me cook,
spiritual.
Or he or she, whatever,
real.
they're like laughing along with me as I make mistakes, and it's very, very comforting. I agree with you. Let me ask you about family dinners. Do you think?
Jewish?
Yeah, I believe in God, and my God is laughing with me as I burn every piece of food I hand my husband. Do you think? You know what? Do you think people today have become too far removed from family dinners, which was a big thing growing up for me?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even when I was growing up, we didn't do family dinner near as much as I wish we had. My husband did it every single night. And I just feel in this day and age, I think our kids have it harder than we did growing up. There's just too many distractions, too many things pulling them away from the family table. And it's such a simple, easy way to sort of fight against it, right?
Yeah.
Like we take time to go through pows and wows at the dinner table, to talk through the highlights and the lowlights, to just spend some time laughing with each other and connecting with each other. And it's this tiny little thing, but over time, it sews these hearts together because there's something really magical about breaking bread with somebody, even if you do it one time. But if you do it night after night after night, it connects your hearts in such a way, it aligns your breathing, it aligns your thoughts, it aligns how you think about the world. And I just think it's one of the most powerful things we can do as families.
Amen.
Yes, child, breaking bread is my love language. And this book is so well done. There's so much power in this book. You can feel it. Now, cooking several times a week for many people can feel like a daunting chore. For me, I get super excited that I'm like, oh, I'm cooking.
Right.
How can we find enjoyment in
Sounds
what
like you're
can
the last to
seem
know.
Is this a
like
spatula?
a time-consuming task?
For me, it can be, lighting a candle, only cooking a couple times a week, marking that transition time by like making yourself something nice to drink. Just make it a moment of, okay, I'm doing something that has bigger ramifications than I can see, because how I show up in the kitchen is how I'm going to show up in the rest of my life, whether it's doing laundry, having a hard conversation with my kids, taking a big meeting, shooting a new Food Network show. If I get into that practice of allowing God to enter into every one of those things, then I'm going to be a greater conduit for his love and his purposes.
Wow. Beautiful. Stunning. Artie, thank you so much for joining us today, DBL Nation. Pick up a copy of Artie's new book, Unwind. Thank you again. Congratulations. Great to talk to you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We got this email from longtime nanny Karen C. She said a younger nanny is working for a local agency and is underpaid and overtaxed by the agency by giving her 1099. Would you please do a verify segment on whether nannies are or are not 1099 employees? So let's get the facts. Our source is the IRS and Mark Stieber, tax information officer at Jackson Hewitt Tax Services. The phrase 1099 worker stems from the IRS form number 1099, which is the form a company must issue to its independent contractors. 1099 workers could be freelancers or self-employed workers who complete particular jobs or assignments but are not employees of the company. Since they are not deemed employees, these workers are not paid wages or a salary. Instead, they are paid according to an agreement or contract between them and the company. How can businesses distinguish between people who should be paid as employees and those who are 1099 workers?
And there's a 20-factor test that's been around for decades, but there's really 3 buckets that you need to look at.
Stieber says the 3 big buckets are behavioral, financial risk, and relationship.
For example, as an employee, I have to be at work at 8 o'clock. If I was painting someone's house, as long as I got the house painted, they wouldn't care if I showed up at noon or worked all night.
As far as financial risk, he says as an employee, you would get a salary or an hourly wage. And the relationship would be, do you receive set time off or sick days?
If it works like an employee with hours, behavioral control, financial risk, and everybody kind of knows wink and nod what you are, you probably are.
Stever says there's no way to verify yes or no whether a nanny is a 1099 worker because it all depends on how the nanny's job is structured. But employers who misclassify a worker hoping to avoid taxes can be in for a rude awakening.
Penalties with improper worker classification can be severe and harsh. They can go back as far as the statute is open and nothing's been filed and back assess all of that money, including the federal taxes, state taxes.
If you're trying to figure out whether you qualify as an employee or a 1099 worker, you can submit an SS-8 form to the IRS. They will tell you which category you fall under. We have that link on our website, WCNC.com. With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
It could be cheaper to travel this fall. Let's connect the dots. If you're still scrolling through everyone's summer travel photos, we've got a little bit of good news. A new report from Hopper says prices on airfare are falling for folks looking to squeeze in that last trip before the holiday travel rush. Airlines tend to lower prices in the fall to help boost demand during the so-called shoulder season. But that's not the only reason we're seeing a drop. Travel experts report a slowdown in what's called revenge travel. That was the post-COVID trend of people racing to book these vacations as soon as travel restrictions were lifted. So what do prices look like? Well, for domestic flights, fall prices are averaging $211 down. That's close to $90 from the summer peak. But the prices may not stick around. Experts warn jet fuel prices could push airlines to do away with the discounts. And that's connecting the dots.
Oh, welcome back to DBL. So when is the best time to work out? It's time for some joint and muscle support brought to you by Omega XL. Well, according to a new study, working out between the hours of 7 to 9 a.m. supports more weight loss. So rise and sweat if you want to see greater results when it comes to your fitness goals. Omega XL has improved the lives of millions of consumers, supported by 30 years of clinical research. Omega XL's powerful and proven benefits have transformed the lives of athletes, celebrities, and dedicated daily users. Call 1-800-725-2612 or visit omegaxl.com for more information.
I want to make a quick correction. It's a little confusing here. Sophie Turner has filed with her lawyers under the child abduction clauses of the Hague Convention. She herself never used the word abduction. She has filed under that, and his lawyers are saying she shouldn't be using the word abduction, even though she really didn't. She just filed under that clause.
Messy, you guys.
So this is already getting real, but I want to be clear about the language used. Absolutely.
I think, when two parents know that their children, it's not like, it's hard enough to get in a divorce and your child is in one house 1 week. Imagine your child being over international waters.
Right.
So I understand the desperation here.
Sure.
But I fear, again, that there's going to be a lot of smear campaigns.
I agree.
And so I appreciate you getting those words right.
Absolutely. Those lawyers, huh? Lawyers.
I know them very well.
I do the Sharks.
Hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Bye, guys.